The war was over, but the silence after war was heavy. Hospitals were filled with wounded soldiers, broken machines, and fading lives. Among the rows of human patients, there was one bed that carried a strange figure. She was not human. She was an alien widow, her body thin and weak, her skin pale with strange blue veins that pulsed like dying stars. Doctors whispered every time they passed her bed. "She is beyond saving," one said, shaking his head. "She doesn't respond to our medicine," another muttered, turning away. No alien organ donor had come forward, and no human organ could match her strange biology. To many, she was already a dead body waiting for time to finish its work, but she was not gone yet. Every breath she took was a battle. Every heartbeat was a war she fought alone. Her eyes would open sometimes, filled with pain and emptiness. Her people had abandoned her, saying she carried bad luck after the war. The humans treated her like a ghost, not an enemy anymore, but not a friend either. She was trapped in a bed, waiting for death, waiting for silence. Then one evening, when the ward was quiet, a young human soldier walked in. His steps were slow, his uniform torn, his face tired but alive. He stopped by her bed, looking down. At her weak body, her breathing mask hissed softly, her chest rising and falling like waves about to break. The soldier's eyes softened, but he did not pity her. He only stared as if searching for something. The alien woman opened her eyes and saw him standing there. She expected him to turn away like the others, but he did not. Instead, he pulled a chair and sat beside her bed. For a long time he said nothing, just listened to the sound of her weak breath. Finally he spoke, his voice low. "Why are you still fighting to live?" he asked. The alien blinked slowly, confused. No one had asked her that before. She tried to speak, but her voice was broken. Only a whisper escaped. "Because I do not want to vanish." The soldier leaned closer, his face serious. "My sister died during the war," he said quietly. "She fought until her last breath, just like you." There was pain in his voice, but also respect. The alien looked at him with tired eyes, as if trying to read his soul. No human had spoken to her with such honesty, not since the war began. Days passed, and the soldier kept coming back. Others thought he was wasting time, but he sat by her bed every evening. He told her stories of his home, of green fields, of skies filled with birds. She listened, weak but curious, sometimes managing a faint smile. In return, she whispered fragments of alien songs, broken but beautiful. Two broken beings, one human and one alien, sitting together in the middle of a hospital that no longer cared. But the truth was cruel. Her scans grew worse each day. Her organs were failing faster than medicine could fight. One night, the doctor shook his head and whispered to the soldier, "She has only days left. Nothing can be done." The soldier clenched his fists, refusing to accept it. He sat beside her bed, watching her chest rise and fall like fragile glass. His eyes moved to the glowing scans that showed her failing kidney. The machines beeped louder, warning of the slow death crawling closer. The alien woman opened her eyes again, her voice trembling. "Leave me," she whispered. "You should not waste your time on me." The soldier leaned forward, shaking his head. "No," he said firmly. "I will not watch another life slip away." She looked at him, confused. Why would you care?" she asked weakly. He stared into her eyes, his voice steady but filled with sorrow. "Because I know what it feels like to lose someone you cannot save." The room was silent, except for the sound of the machines. The soldier looked at the monitors, again, then at her fragile body. A dangerous thought began to form inside his mind. His heart pounded as he whispered under his breath, "Maybe I can help." The alien woman heard him, but she did not understand. Her eyes slowly closed again, drifting between life and death. The soldier sat in the chair, staring at her pale face. His decision was already burning inside him like fire. Everyone said she was beyond saving, but he refused to believe it. He leaned closer to her, whispering words only she could hear. "Hold on, just hold on." The night outside was dark. the stars hidden behind heavy clouds. But inside the soldier's heart, a dangerous light had been born, a thought that no one else dared to imagine, a choice that could change both of their lives forever. The dying alien did not know yet, but her story was not ending here, it was only beginning. The hospital lights flickered as night covered the city. The alien woman lay still, her breathing uneven, her body losing strength faster than doctors could measure. Everyone whispered that she had only a few days left. Some said only hours. The machines around her bed hummed like a countdown clock, but the young human soldier was still there, sitting in the same chair, refusing to leave. He had watched too many people die. He had buried his own sister during the war, powerless to stop it. Now, as he looked at the alien widow fighting for every breath, he felt the same burning helplessness, but this time something inside him refused to accept it. He would not lose her the way he lost his sister. He would not just sit and wait for death to arrive. The doctors had told him again and again, "Her organs are too damaged," they said. "No human part can help her," they warned. But he kept staring at the glowing scan of her failing kidney. His heart beat faster every time he looked at it. A thought dangerous and reckless was burning inside him, a thought no human had ever spoken aloud before. That night, when the doctors left the ward, the soldier leaned closer to her, her eyes half open, her voice fragile. "You are still here?" she whispered, confused. He nodded, his jaw tight. "I will not leave," he said firmly. The alien widow gave a weak laugh, bitter and tired. "You humans, you keep promises even when they are hopeless," she murmured. He leaned closer, his eyes shining with determination. "What if it is not hopeless?" he asked. Her eyes widened slightly. "What do you mean?" The soldier hesitated, then spoke, words that shocked even himself. "What if I gave you my kidney?" The alien blinked, too weak to understand at first, but then the meaning hit her like a storm. Her pale lips trembled. "No," she whispered. "That is madness." "You would die?" He shook his head, fire in his voice. "Maybe I will suffer, but at least you will live." The room went silent. The machines kept beeping like nervous drums. The alien tried to shake her head, but her body was too weak. "Humans, and my kind, we are too different," she whispered. "It would not work. Your blood, your flesh, everything is not the same." The soldier leaned forward, his voice sharp with defiance. "Then let them try." The alien looked at him, stunned by his determination. She saw no pity in his eyes, no weakness, only a storm of will. The next morning, he told the doctors. They stared at him in shock. "You want to give her your kidney?" The head surgeon repeated, almost laughing. "That's suicide." Another doctor muttered. "Even if we try, the rejection rate is nearly 100%. But the soldier stood tall, his voice like steel. "Then we try until it works." The commander of his unit stormed into the ward, furious. "You're a soldier," he shouted, "not a fool throwing his life away for an alien widow." But the young man did not step back. "She is not an enemy anymore," he said coldly. "She is a life, and I will not let her fade." The commander shook his head in disbelief. "You'll kill yourself for nothing," he barked. The soldier only whispered, "It won't be nothing if she lives." The alien widow lay silently through all of it. Her eyes followed him, wide and trembling. She had been ready to die, she had already accepted the end. But now this human was offering a piece of himself, a part of his very body to keep her alive. Her heart trembled with confusion, fear, and something else she could not name. Later, when they were alone, she whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" The soldier sat beside her bed, his hands trembling but his eyes steady. "Because I could not save my sister," he said softly. "But maybe I can save you." Her eyes filled with tears she did not understand. No alien had ever cried for her. No alien had ever fought for her. And yet here was a human, ready to cut out a piece of himself, ready to give her his life. The decision was made. The doctors prepared the operation room, their hands shaking, their voices tense. No one believed it would work. Some whispered it was murder. But the soldier signed the papers with a steady hand. As they wheeled him toward the operating room, he looked back at her and smiled weakly. "Don't give up," he whispered. The alien reached out a trembling hand, her voice breaking. "I don't deserve this," but he shook his head, his eyes firm. "You deserve to live." The doors closed behind them. The operating lights glowed bright, cold, and sharp. The surgeon muttered, "This has never been done before. One mistake and both could die." The soldier lay down, staring up at the blinding lights. The alien widow's bed was rolled into the next room, her heart beating weakly. The machines began to hum. The knives began to shine. For a moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath, and then, with trembling hands and heavy hearts, the doctors began the impossible. The first human kidney was about to enter an alien body. No one in the galaxy knew if it would be salvation or doom. The operating room was colder than the night outside. Bright white lights poured down from the ceiling, washing every shadow away. Doctors and nurses moved quickly, their hands trembling as they prepared for something no one had ever tried. On one bed lay the young human soldier, already half-drugged, his breathing slow but steady. On the other bed lay the alien widow, her body weak, her skin pale, her life hanging by a single thread. Machines beeped nervously, as if even they feared what was about to happen. The head surgeon wiped sweat from his forehead and whispered to his team, "If this fails, both of them will die." The room grew silent. Everyone knew the risk, but still their hands did not stop moving. They were about to cross the line between science and madness. The alien widow's heart rate was already unstable, the monitors flashing red. Her lungs struggled to pull in air, each breath sounding like broken glass. One nurse leaned close to the surgeon and whispered, "She might not survive the night even without surgery." The surgeon closed his eyes for a moment, then said, "Then we try anyway." The soldier stirred weakly, his eyelids fluttering. He was not fully asleep yet. His voice came out broken but clear. "Don't give up on her." The surgeon stared at him in shock, then slowly nodded. "You're a fool," the surgeon muttered. "But maybe fools are what change the world." The operation began. The soldier's side was opened, blood glistening under the harsh light. The kidney was removed carefully. Every second stretched into eternity. One mistake could end him right there. But the organ came free, warm and alive. They rushed it to the alien's side, her body already shutting down. Her pulse was weak, her skin cold, the machine alarms screaming louder. The surgeon's hand shook as he tried to connect the human organ into alien flesh. The tissue looked wrong, too different, like puzzle pieces from two different worlds. The machines beeped faster, warning of rejection. Her blood pressure dropped suddenly. Her heart stuttered. One nurse gasped, "She's crashing." Another cried out, "We're losing her." The surgeon pressed harder, fighting against the impossible. "Hold her steady," he shouted, sweat dripping down his face. The alien's body began to spasm, her veins glowing faintly blue under her skin. The human kidney was not connecting. Her system was rejecting it violently. Alarms blared. Nurses shouted. The smell of burned flesh filled the air as machines tried to stabilize her. The surgeon clenched his teeth, his mind racing. "We need to rewire the connection now." They tried again, adjusting the link, stitching the human flesh to alien veins, but the monitors screamed red, her oxygen level plummeted. "Her heart is failing," someone shouted. The surgeon slammed his hand on the table in frustration. "It's not working." In the chaos, the soldier, barely conscious, forced his eyes open. His face was pale, his lips dry, but his voice came out with desperate strength. "Don't give up on her," he whispered again. The surgeon froze, staring at the dying alien, then back at the soldier who was bleeding for her. For a moment, silence filled the room, as if even death was waiting to see what they would choose. The surgeon adjusted the organ one last time. He twisted the connection in a way no textbook had ever taught. He whispered under his breath, "Please, work." And then, for a second, nothing happened. The monitors stayed flat. The room stayed silent. Everyone held their breath. Then, suddenly a faint rhythm appeared on the screen. Beep, beep. The alien's heart started to beat again, weak but steady. Her chest rose with a deeper breath. Her blue veins pulsed faintly with new energy. The human kidney had taken hold. The surgeon nearly collapsed with relief. "It's working," he whispered, almost in disbelief. The nurses gasped. Some cried softly. The alien's body, which had been cold and fading, now warmed with fragile life. Her pulse grew stronger, her breathing steadier. Against every law of science, against every doubt and warning, she was alive. The soldier's own monitors beeped weakly, his body struggling from the loss. But even in his fading consciousness, he turned his head slightly toward her bed. His lips curved into the faintest of smiles. "She's alive," he whispered, before his eyes finally closed. The operation was not over yet. Hours of careful work remained, but hope had already entered the room. Hope born not from science alone, but from sacrifice. By dawn, the surgery was finished. The two of them lay in silence, connected forever by flesh and fate. The alien widow opened her eyes slowly, pain clouding her vision. She felt strange warmth inside her body, a heartbeat that did not belong to her. Her gaze shifted to the bed beside her. There lay the human soldier, pale, weak, but breathing. Her lips trembled as tears filled her eyes. Her voice was a broken whisper. "Why? You?" The machines answered for him with steady beeps. The soldier was too weak to reply, but his sacrifice had already spoken. In that moment, she realized the truth. He had given her more than a kidney. He had given her a chance at life. And for that, her heart would never be the same again. Morning sunlight slipped through the hospital windows, soft and pale. The war-torn city outside was quiet. But inside the recovery ward, two lives had just been tied together forever. On one bed lay the alien widow, her body weak but breathing stronger than before. On the other bed lay the young human soldier, pale and motionless, his body fighting to heal after giving away a piece of himself. The alien opened her eyes slowly, her chest heavy, her breath sharp but steady. At first she felt something strange inside her, a warmth that was not her own. She placed a trembling hand against her side, feeling the beat of life that should not have been there. It was not her kidney, it was his. She froze, tears stinging her eyes as the truth hit her heart. She was alive because he was broken. She turned her head toward the bed beside her. The human soldier lay with tubes and wires, his skin pale, his lips dry, his breath shallow. He looked like death was still chasing him. Her throat tightened, her heart aching. He had saved her by giving away part of himself, and now he lay half dead for her sake. The weight of that truth crushed her chest. Doctors moved between their beds, whispering updates. "The transplant is holding," one said softly. "Her body is accepting it." "But he is very weak," another answered. "He will need weeks before he can stand again." The alien closed her eyes. Guilt burning inside her, she whispered to herself, "He gave me his life. Why?" Days passed slowly. She regained her strength little by little, her skin warming, her voice becoming steadier. But every step forward for her meant seeing him lying still, unable to walk, sometimes barely able to open his eyes. Every time he coughed or winced in pain, her heart twisted. She had been ready to die, yet now he had nearly died in her place. One evening, as the ward grew quiet, she forced herself out of bed. Her legs trembled, her body weak, but she dragged herself across the floor to his side. She gripped his hand gently, her fingers shaking. His skin was warm, his pulse faint. Her voice broke as she whispered, "I should not be here, not in your place." But he stirred, his eyelids fluttering open, his eyes, tired but alive, focused on her. "You're alive," he whispered weakly. Her tears fell, her voice shaking. "Because of you." He gave her the faintest smile. Then it was worth it. She sat by him all night, watching his chest rise and fall. Her mind was torn between gratitude and guilt. She owed him more than she could ever repay. The alien songs of her people spoke of life debts, bonds that could never be broken. Now she carried such a bond, one she never asked for, but one that wrapped itself around her heart like iron. As days turned into weeks, their recovery became a shared journey. He grew stronger slowly, though every step was heavy, every breath an effort. She refused to leave his side, helping him sit up, helping him walk even when her own body still ached. Doctors whispered in surprise, "She heals fast for her kind, and she only pushes herself when he is near." At night, when the ward was quiet, they spoke softly. He told her about Earth, about oceans that stretched forever, about forests alive with voices of birds. Her eyes widened at the thought of such beauty. She told him about her world before the war, skies filled with twin moons, cities that sang with crystal light. His face softened with wonder. In those moments, the lines between alien and human faded. They were simply two souls who had survived together. But deep inside her heart, the alien widow carried a storm. She could not escape the truth. He was weaker because of her. She saw him wince with pain, saw him collapse when he pushed too far. Every time guilt carved deeper into her. One night, as he lay asleep, she whispered into the darkness, "I owe you more than my life. I owe you my heart." The next morning, she began to change. She refused to be weak, refused to be helpless. Every time he struggled to walk, she offered her arm. Every time he faltered, she steadied him. Slowly, she became his strength while he had once been hers. Others in the hospital noticed. Some humans muttered, "She's using him." Some aliens sneered, "She is chained to a human now." But she ignored them all. Her bond with him was not chains. It was choice. She would not leave him. Not after what he had done. Weeks later, as the soldier finally managed to stand tall again, she stood beside him. Her eyes glowed softly, her voice calm but filled with fire. "You gave me your life," she said. "Now I will give you mine." He looked at her in silence, his heart heavy with unspoken words. In his eyes she saw no regret, only quiet pride. In her heart she felt no debt anymore, only devotion. The alien widow was no longer dying, but she knew her life was no longer hers alone. She carried him inside her body, his gift beating within her veins, and she carried him inside her soul, his sacrifice forever carved into her heart. What began as a desperate gamble had become something stronger than either of them expected, a bond neither alien nor human could ever fully understand. And though the war had left scars across both their worlds, in this quiet hospital ward, something new had been born. Not just survival, not just debt, but the fragile beginnings of love. The hospital had grown quiet, but whispers traveled faster than footsteps. Nurses talked in low voices, soldiers muttered in corners, and passing visitors left with narrowed eyes. It was no longer a secret. Everyone knew the story of the alien widow who lived because a human gave her his kidney. Some called it madness, others called it betrayal. But no one was silent about it. The alien widow felt the weight of those stares every time she walked down the hallway. Her skin prickled as humans looked at her with cold eyes. "She is stealing his life," they whispered. "She should have died," someone muttered, when they thought she could not hear. Each word cut her heart, but she did not reply. She kept her head high because she had promised herself never to hide again. The soldier felt it too. Every time he stood, every time he walked, there were whispers behind him. "Foolish boy," one officer muttered. "He wasted his strength for an enemy." Another spat. But he ignored them. He had made his choice, and he would not regret it. Still, the whispers grew. Some aliens who heard of her survival were furious. "She carries human flesh now," they hissed. "She has betrayed her kind. She is not one of us anymore." The alien widow heard those words like knives, sharper than any blade. She had already lost her people's trust during the war. Now she was cast further away. She was too human for the aliens and too alien for the humans alone, except for him. One night, she sat by his bed while he rested. Her voice was low, trembling, with pain. "They hate me for living, they hate you for saving me," she whispered. The soldier opened his tired eyes, his voice rough but steady. "Let them hate," he said. "We don't live for their approval." She lowered her gaze, her chest heavy. "But you are suffering because of me." He shook his head, a weak smile on his lips. "No," he whispered. "I am suffering with you, not because of you." For a moment, silence filled the room. She wanted to believe his words, but fear still clung to her heart, and outside the hospital walls, the whispers were no longer harmless. Shadows began to follow them. At night, when she walked the corridors, she saw figures in corners watching. When the soldier tried to exercise in the yard, angry eyes followed his every step. Rumors spread like fire. "They are too close," some said. "She will corrupt him," others hissed. Even among his own kind, soldiers spoke of separating them. "This is dangerous," they warned. "She cannot stay here." One evening, as the alien widow helped the soldier walk down the hallway, a group of soldiers blocked their path, their faces hard, their voices sharp. "You should not be here." One spat at her. "She has no right to walk beside you." Another sneered. The alien widow froze, her chest tight. The soldier stepped in front of her, his body weak but his voice strong. "She has every right," he said firmly. "She is alive, and that's all that matters." The soldiers glared at him, but his eyes did not waver. They muttered curses under their breath and walked away. But she knew this was only the beginning. The tension grew heavier each day. Doctors warned them to be careful. "You are a symbol now," one said softly. "A dangerous one." The alien widow tilted her head, confused. "What symbol?" she asked. The doctor sighed, his eyes troubled. "A symbol that humans and aliens can be bound by blood. Some fear that more than war itself." Her heart sank. She had never wanted to be a symbol. She had never asked for this bond. But now, it had become bigger than her life, bigger than her heart. Every step she took with him was no longer just survival. It was rebellion. That night, as the soldier lay awake, he heard faint movement outside their ward, boots on the floor, whispers in the dark. He sat up, pain surging through his body. The alien widow opened her eyes too, sensing the same danger. Together they listened. "We end this before it spreads," a voice hissed outside. "If she lives, others will try the same," another whispered. Cold fear crawled up her spine. They were not whispers anymore. They were threats. The soldier reached for her hand, his grip firm despite his weakness. "They want to take you," he said quietly. Her breath shook, her heart racing. "And if they come?" she asked. His eyes hardened, his voice steady. "Then I stand in their way." She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him not to risk more for her. But the fire in his eyes silenced her. He had already chosen once, when he gave her his kidney, and now he was choosing again, ready to protect her with whatever life he had left. The alien widow's heart ached with fear and something stronger. She leaned closer, her voice trembling. "You will die for me." He looked at her with quiet certainty. "I will live for you." Outside, the footsteps faded into the night, but the threat was not gone. It was only waiting, watching, ready to strike. The alien widow sat by his side, her hand gripping his tightly. She whispered into the silence. "They see us as danger." He turned his head, his voice a whisper of iron. "Then let us be dangerous," and, in that fragile moment between love and fear, they knew the world would not forgive them, but together they would face it. The hospital no longer felt safe. Every hallway carried the weight of whispers, every corner hid unfriendly eyes. The alien widow and the human soldier felt it with every step. The silent judgment, the sharp stares, the quiet anger growing stronger each day. It was no longer just rumors now, it was pressure, waiting to explode. The soldier had grown stronger, though his body still carried pain from the surgery. He could walk without her arm now, but every step reminded him of the price he had paid. The alien widow stayed close, her heart heavy, always watching the shadows, She felt the danger gathering like storm clouds, and she knew the storm would break soon. One evening the ward was almost empty, the lights dim. The soldier tried to rest, but he felt it before it happened, a silence too deep, footsteps too careful. He sat up quickly, his instincts sharp. The alien widow's skin prickled, her heart racing. Something was wrong. The door slammed open and a group of soldiers rushed inside. Their faces were hard, their eyes cold, weapons gleaming in their hands. The alien widow froze, her breath caught. In her throat, the soldier stepped in front of her without hesitation, his weak body a shield. "What are you doing?" he demanded, his voice sharp despite his pain. The leader of the group sneered. "We're cleaning a mistake," he spat. "She should not be alive. She's poison. She'll spread corruption if we let her live." The soldier's jaw tightened, fury burning in his chest. "You'll have to go through me," he growled. The soldiers raised their weapons, the air thick with tension. The alien widow grabbed his arm, her voice breaking. "They will kill you," she whispered desperately. He shook his head, standing firm. "If I fall protecting you," he said, his eyes locked on hers. Her heart twisted, pain and love colliding. She could not let him die for her. Not again. Not after he had already given her his body. The soldiers stepped forward, their boots striking the floor like drums of war. The soldier braced himself, though his strength was failing. The alien widow felt fire surge inside her, something stronger than fear, stronger than weakness. For the first time since the war, she chose not just to survive, but to fight. She stepped forward, placing herself beside him, her voice fierce. "Then you face both of us," she declared. The soldiers hesitated, surprised by her defiance. Their leader sneered. "You think standing with a human makes you strong?" Her eyes glowed faintly, her voice steady. "No," she said. "It makes me alive." The standoff burned like fire in the air. One soldier lunged forward, but the human soldier blocked him, pain tearing through his body. He staggered, but he did not fall. The alien widow caught his arm, holding him steady. Her own body trembled, but she stood tall. The soldiers circled, muttering in anger. "This ends tonight," one hissed. But before they could strike again, the alien widow raised her voice. "You call me poison," she cried, "but he gave me his life and I live because of him." She turned her gaze to them, her eyes sharp. "I cannot repay him with my blood, but I will repay him with my heart." Words silenced the room for a moment. Even the soldiers froze, their eyes widening. The human soldier stared at her in shock, his chest heavy. Her voice did not tremble. Her truth was louder than the whispers that haunted them. "He gave me his body, and I give him my soul," she declared. "If you kill me, you kill the only proof that love can exist beyond war." The room grew still, the soldiers uneasy. They had come expecting weakness, expecting fear. Instead, they faced a woman who had been saved by a human sacrifice and was ready to give her heart in return. The leader growled, but his eyes faltered. "Love," he spat, as if the word itself was dirt, but no blade in his hand could cut through what she had spoken. The human soldier reached for her hand, gripping it tightly despite his pain. His voice was low but steady. "She is mine, and I am hers." The soldiers shifted uncomfortably, their confidence shaken. For the first time they realized this was not just about survival. It was about something far greater. At last, the leader lowered his weapon, his voice cold. "You've chosen your path," he muttered. "Then be ready to face the world's judgment." With that, they turned and left, their footsteps heavy, their whispers fading into the night. When silence returned, the alien widow collapsed against the soldier, trembling. He held her tightly, his body weak but his grip strong. "You didn't have to say that," he whispered, his voice raw. She pulled back, her eyes shining with tears and fire. "I did," she said, "because it's true." For the first time he saw it in her eyes, not just gratitude, not just debt, but love, raw and unbreakable. She had made her choice, not to run, not to hide, but to give her heart to the human who had given her life. The soldier smiled faintly, exhaustion pulling at him. Then whatever comes, we face it. Together, he said. She nodded, her voice soft but firm. Together. And in that fragile ward, surrounded by shadows and threats, two broken souls had chosen each other. No whisper, no weapon, no war could take that choice away. The whispers did not stop after that night. If anything, they grew louder. Rumors spread beyond the hospital walls, into the city, and then across, both human and alien networks. People spoke of an alien widow living with a human kidney, and of the soldier who gave it to her. Some called it madness, some called it betrayal, but some began to call it something else. A miracle. The alien widow felt the weight of every stare. When she walked through the corridors, humans glared. When her kind saw her in secret channels, they hissed, "She is corrupted." They spat. But there were others, quiet voices, who whispered differently. If a human and an alien can live as one, then maybe there is hope. The soldier knew the danger had not passed. Every night he expected another attack, another attempt to tear them apart. But he no longer feared it, because now she stood beside him, not just alive, but alive for him. They were not just patient and protector anymore. They were bound, heart to heart. Weeks passed, and recovery turned into strength. The soldier could walk without pain now, though his body would never be as strong as before. The alien widow glowed with new life, her body stronger than it had ever been since the war. She carried his gift inside her, and with every heartbeat she felt him closer. They were living proof that sacrifice could cross the line between worlds, but proof is dangerous. Commanders gathered in meetings, politicians argued in private halls. Do we silence them? Some asked. Do we show them as hope? Others wondered. Both humans and aliens feared what their bond could mean. If love could rise from war, then what excuse would remain for hatred? One morning, the soldier and the alien widow were summoned. They were led into a great hall, filled with humans on one side, aliens on the other. The air was heavy, filled with suspicion. Eyes burned into them from every angle. They stood at the center, hand in hand. Two fragile lives before two divided worlds. The commander's voice thundered. Explain yourselves, he demanded. Why should we believe this is anything but corruption, a trick to weaken us? The alien leaders hissed in agreement, their voices sharp. She is not one of us anymore. She carries human flesh. They accused. She has betrayed her kind. The alien widow felt fear in her chest, but she did not step back. She had been silent too long. Now she raised her voice, steady and strong. I was dying, she said, her voice echoing across the hall. My own people left me. Humans refused to help me, and everyone decided I was beyond saving. Her gaze swept across them, her eyes fierce. But one human gave me more than life. He gave me a piece of himself. The hall grew silent, all eyes locked on her. She lifted her hand, pressing it to her chest. His heart beats inside. Me now, she whispered. I am alive because he chose to save me. Not as an alien, not as an enemy, but as a life worth saving. Gasps filled the chamber. Some scoffed, some shook their heads, but others listened. The soldier stepped forward, his voice calm but heavy with truth. I did not save her to change politics or make peace, he said. I saved her because no one else would, because I could not let another life fade when I had the power to stop it. His eyes swept across the divided hall, his voice sharp. If that is weakness, then let me be weak. The alien widow gripped his hand tighter, her voice breaking but strong. He gave me his life, and I give him my heart, she declared. Her words rang out like thunder, silencing the whispers. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then voices rose, divided. Madness, some cried. Hope, others whispered. Outside the hall, the story spread like fire. News carried their faces, their words, their bond. To some they were traitors, proof that war's lines had been crossed. To others they were a symbol, proof that the lines never needed to exist at all. That night, alone at last, the alien widow sat with him under the stars. 2 moons rose above, silver and pale. She leaned, close, resting her head against his shoulder. They will never stop judging us, she whispered. He smiled softly, his arm around her. Then let them judge, he said. We'll live anyway. She turned her face to him, her eyes shining with tears. You gave me more than a kidney, she whispered. You gave me love. He looked at her, his voice soft but steady. And you gave me a reason to believe love can heal more than war ever could. In the silence of the night, their hands intertwined. Two broken beings, one human, one alien, now whole together. And as the stars watched from above, their bond became more than survival, more than sacrifice. It became the fragile beginning of something both worlds had lost: hope